Welcome to the I Work For Him podcast. I'm Michael Miracle, producer of the I Work For Him radio program, the voice of the faith and work movement. Our mission is to transform the workplace of every Christian into a mission field. What does that look like in your workplace? Let's find out right now.
Hey, welcome to I Work For Him, the voice of the faith and work movement. We're your hosts, Jim and Martha Brangenberg.
Thanks so much for joining us today. It's going to be a fun show, and I know that you're going to learn about an event that you can participate in from the comfort of your own home this year. But so much more than that, we want you to stay connected on Facebook because we go out here several times a week. We are coming to you to bring you some late breaking news, something fun that we have learned about, something we want to share with our friends, and today is no exception. So keep following us on I Work For Him on Facebook.
That's right. Okay, Workmatters.org is an organization that was created with you in mind, the everyday believer in the workplace. Workmatters holds an annual conference focused on bringing excellent speakers to the platform that can convey practical, tactical, factual, and biblical truths for living out your faith in your work. So I love that. I love it so much. This year's lineup is fantastic. For the last several years, you've heard us interview many people from the conference while we're on location. But we all know because of the COVID, that's not happening this year. It's a happening place to be, though, in Northwest Arkansas, where the Workmatters Conference is going to be. So we brought Catherine Gates on, a longtime friend of I Work For Him. She's going to tell us about the Workmatters Conference this year, 2020. Catherine has all of the information, but you could also go to their website, workmatters.org. Catherine Gates, welcome back to I Work For Him.
It's great to be here, Jim and Martha. It's great to see you.
Yeah, it's always nice to be seen, and we love the vines in the background. It just feels like we're out. It just feels like we're outside. How is the weather today in Northwest Arkansas?
It is starting to feel a little more like fall.
Well, at least it's not feeling like Christmas. Yeah,
That's true.
Which is a good thing. So before we dig into the conference, which we're so excited to tell everybody about, why don't you let the listeners know if they've never heard about Workmatters as an organization, let them know what Workmatters is and how it is important for them.
Yeah, thank you so much, Martha. Workmatters is really about equipping people to pursue God's purpose for their work. All of the resources that we put together are geared towards giving people practical and relevant strategies and tools for bringing God into their work. And so some of those resources include things like Bible studies, YouVersion devotionals, which we're up to 14 now.
Awesome.
Which is pretty cool. We have a 12-week deep dive into God's design for work called our Workmatters Institute. And that's an opportunity for people to really understand God's design for work, which a lot of people don't really get, and then also hear from executive speakers about how they live out their faith at work. So you can see, there are actually role models out there. There really are for doing just that. And yeah, that's what we want to do. We want to help people pursue God's purpose for their work.
Who is Workmatters the perfect resource for?
It's the perfect resource for Christians who are struggling with finding purpose and meaning in their work, who want to pursue leadership in a way that honors God, who really want to be salt and light in the workplace, but they're not quite sure how to do it when they're struggling with managing inventory or driving sales or entering things into a spreadsheet, right? And so what we do is the resources that people use through Workmatters help them see that God can use them right where they are. God can shine a light through them, through the work they're doing today. And it also helps them connect to God on a more consistent basis to understand how to do that so that they can see where God's leading them.
That's so good. And we know that relates to so many of the people that follow us on Facebook, that listen to our podcast, and that is why we have you on today. So we're talking about your Workmatters conference that's coming up on October 23rd. Mm-hmm. Give us all of the details. Tell people how they can, because they can participate. This is something that's not, you don't have to be in Northwest Arkansas. That's one of the things that you guys have already been doing.
You've been cutting edge for 2 or 3 years already with this live streaming things. This is fantastic for you guys. You're like old hat at this.
So give us the details.
Thank you. Yeah, well, we are very grateful right now that we were testing the waters with live stream over the last couple of years because it's not such a big shift for us as it is for some organizations. Of course, we're going to miss seeing all the people, right? But what we're doing is, so this year's theme, by the way, is breakthrough. And, no one could have anticipated everything that people would have to endure this year and all the hardship. Everybody has been challenged in one way, shape, or form, obviously some more than others. So we had no idea, but God gave us the verse from Isaiah 43:19. Behold, I'm doing a new thing. Now it springs forth. Do you not perceive it? I am making ways in the wilderness and streams in the wasteland. And I really feel like as much as people are wishing 2020 away and can't wait for 2021, I think they'd really be missing a huge opportunity by not looking at the lessons. I mean, I really feel like God's using this year to shine a light on the things that we sometimes gloss over or ignore or, just don't pay attention to when we're so busy. And so all of the speakers will be addressing some area of breakthrough. How can we use what we've learned, what we've experienced this year to create a breakthrough in our work, in our industries, in our communities? And so they're addressing it from various aspects, various facets of breakthrough, like how do you deal with the overwhelming demands? Or how do you maximize your mental capacity to move towards more innovative and breakthrough thinking?
So, when we've been there to Northwest Arkansas to experience the Workmatters Conference, which, by the way, Martha's got last year's T-shirt on.
Actually, I think this was 2
years ago.
2 years
Two years
ago, right?
ago.
So it's
Yeah.
work redefined. I'm kind of short here, so you got to see the whole thing.
That's right.
Workmatters should get us T-shirts for this year's conference. I don't know. What do you guys think out there on Facebook? I'm thinking we should get
There might not even be T-shirts. I don't know.
It's going to be masks this year.
That makes sense.
We could wear a mask. I don't know what it would say. Okay, all right.
Breakthrough, and it would be
when we've been there, you guys, the talks that the speakers give, it's almost like fireside chats. It's just so comfortable. It's no pretense. It's no pomp and circumstance. I mean, last year when we were there, you had Mr. Cath. Was it Mr. Cathy there?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It was Mr. Cathy.
Yes.
And he was wearing a sweater and he was comfortable. And it was just like, hey, I'm just here. I'm going to talk to 1,000 people, but it's just like I'm being in your living room. You guys bring that kind of a feel to a faith and work conference, but it's so encouraging just to let people know there's so many different perspectives, and you're going to get male perspective and female perspective. You're going to get executive leaders in Fortune 500 perspective, and then small leaders in they're not at the top of the Fortune 500. You got all kinds of great voices. Like who should be signing up right now? Who's like the perfect person that should go to the Workmatters Conference on October 23rd?
Anyone who is struggling to make sense of this year, anyone who really wants to incorporate more of their faith into their work, anyone who maybe is incorporating their faith into their work and they are, as I mentioned, looking for how they can take advantage of the things that we've seen and learned from this year and create breakthrough and really allow their teams and their businesses to thrive moving forward. So it's really anyone who has any kind of a leadership influence or desire to grow and really wants to make sure that they are a light for others, but also that they're bringing some light and joy and peace for themselves.
All right. So talking about breakthrough, we're talking about the challenges of 2020, which I don't know. I mean, it could get worse. Sure, it could. It's been a challenging year for sure. Catherine, what's been one of the breakthrough moments for Catherine Gates this year?
Well, actually, me personally.
Yeah, absolutely. You personally.
She hasn't heard the speakers yet. So,
and I didn't tell her I was going to ask this question either.
Well, me personally, I am launching my first book. I published a book. Actually, this is the author copy, so it's not it's just a proof copy. But the Confidence Cornerstone is coming out November 10th. So that's a breakthrough for me. I've contributed to our studies, but I have not ever written a book on my own. So that's been quite a journey.
For sure.
Well, congratulations. And when the book gets officially released, do you know of a program that you should be on in order to introduce that?
I'm sure we'll be talking about it some more.
Yes, we
on
should.
I Work for Him.
Look for that show right here on I Work for Him. Okay.
If I had my way on every I Work for Him road trip, I'd spend all my time in the passenger seat on Facebook and Instagram. But Jim insists that I drive for at least an hour every day so he can nap. Perhaps you'd like to stay connected with all that Jim and I Work for Him are up to. Check us out on Facebook and Instagram for all the latest and special events, podcasts, and conversations. Just search for I Work for Him. That's I Work, the number 4, Him. So, Catherine, before you tell us who some of the speakers are, because we really want our listeners to hear that, I want you to kind of talk just for a moment about somebody who might be very intrigued by what you're going to talk about with Breakthrough at the Workmatters Conference, but maybe they're not a leader, but they maybe have a small group of people that they work alongside where they've been having these off-duty conversations about their work and their faith. How can they participate even together to get some really great benefit from the conference?
Yeah, and Jim and Martha, not everybody who has, it doesn't mean that you have to have a title, right? So everybody has some influence, and leadership really is influence. So they may be very early in their career, but they still have influence, and they can still, to your point, invite people. And that's one way they can be a leader, right? And they can invite other people, even though this is a digital experience. And our plan is to make it incredibly engaging. And so they will have opportunities for Q&A with some of the speakers, which we don't typically do Q&A with the main stage speakers. They'll have opportunities to chat. And we are really going to encourage and provide ways to have those discussions about what they're learning, and so that they can start to gather that information and hopefully develop and build their own breakthrough right during that time during the conference. So we really want people to participate live as much as possible. The tickets, by the way, are $60. And with that, people get immediate access as soon as they register. They get immediate access to past year's conference videos, and they will have access to most of this year's conference videos for a full year. And so it's really a great value. And one thing we've added this year is as soon as they purchase a ticket, they can also gift a complimentary ticket to a pastor, because we really love more pastors to get involved.
Buy one, give one to your pastor.
That's right.
That is a great motivation. In fact, right here in I Work Room, we're going to honor that. You buy a ticket and we'll let you give one free to your pastor. I think that is a fantastic idea. Okay, so the conference on October 23rd starts at 9 a.m. Eastern?
Eastern, yes.
Okay,
8 a.m.
and it goes until what time?
4 p.m. Central, 5 p.m. Eastern.
Okay, so 9 to 5 Eastern. Of course, that would be 8 to 4 Central. It would be 7 to 3 Mountain, or it would be 6 to 2 California time. You can still have a whole day of work that you can still work. So go to workmatters.org, workmatters.org. Get signed up for the conference right now. It's October 23rd. Dedicate a day to improving how you look at work and working on breaking through the nonsense of 2020, but more so breaking through, letting your faith break through into your workplace and allowing Christ to just come alive in your work.
All right. So, Catherine, tell us some of the speakers that people can anticipate, and maybe just give them some perspective so they make sure they know who they are.
Yeah. So Donnie Smith, he's spoken. He's like I call him the Andy Stanley of Northwest Arkansas, right? So he climbs Mount Kilimanjaro early this year, and so he'll be sharing leadership lessons from Mount Kilimanjaro. He's the past CEO of Tyson. Carrie Newhoff, he's an author and also a leadership podcaster. He'll be speaking about how to be at your best, how to do what you're best at when you're at your best. Catherine McClay is the CEO of Sam's Club, so she'll be doing one of those fireside chats like Dan Cathy did last year with David Roth. And her message really has a lot to do with authenticity and how that boosts your leadership. Liz Bohannon, some people may have heard of. She wrote a book recently called Beginner's Pluck. She is amazing and so full of energy. Edgar Sandoval, the CEO of World Vision, will also be speaking, and he is very, as they all are, but he is very passionate about breakthrough, and he'll be sharing a couple of breakthrough things from his time at P&G as well as World Vision.
P&G be Procter & Gamble, for those of you that live outside of Northwest Arkansas.
That's right.
Just saying.
And Jo Saxton just wrote a book, Ready to Rise. She's an author, and she is an amazing speaker. I've been following her quite a bit. and she'll be talking about turning the rubble that some of us are experiencing into bricks for rebuilding.
Now, I thought I'd seen last year Nona Jones spoke.
Yes.
Is she coming back this year? Did I see that, or was that a video from last year that you were saying, hey, here she was on?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. We shared some of the short Right Now Media videos that they recorded for us to our audience. Yeah.
But based on what you just said, if somebody were to register now for the October 23rd Workmatters Conference, they're going to get access to those past years, so they can get a little bit of preview. They can go and search and find Nona Jones's talk, and maybe some of the other ones that are in.
Yes.
To get them pumped up a little bit. I know I watched the Joe Saxton little email that you sent out this week, and she's going to be a lot of fun to listen to, as well as those other speakers.
And what I love about the Workmatters Conference coming up on October 23rd, and this is your fourth or fifth year, right? Fourth year, fifth year?
This is actually the sixth year.
Sixth year. Oh, I lost count. It's been so many already. Is that you guys always share the platform just about equally, men and women, which is fantastic, because there's 55% of the workforce is women. They need to hear from women about what does it look like to break through? Yeah. What does it look like to be redefined in your workplace?
That's right.
What does it look like to live out your faith in your work as a Christian working woman? I love that. I thank you guys at Work Matters for making that possible, that all of the population can benefit from hearing it in their own voice. Pink megaphones to pink hearing aids. I love that. Okay. All right. So October 23rd from 9 to 5 Eastern. Okay, so we won't tell anybody, but who are you looking forward to hearing from most? Who's like your favorite speaker that
just because it's recorded and live?
We won't tell anybody. Who are you most excited about hearing from?
Oh gosh, well, for me, just because I have such a passion in this area, and it's really a toss-up between Catherine McClay and Joe Saxton. I mean, they are just such both powerful women, and are such a great example of being a woman who raises up and leads in the workplace. So they've got some really great stories to share. I'm very excited about both of them.
That's awesome. One of the things I'm thinking about as we just are thinking about this conference, Work Matters is hosting for October 23rd. Just when I think about the title, the theme of breakthrough, there's so much possibility and so much potential in that word. I think we have felt like this year has been daunting, and there's so many things that haven't been, but breakthrough is what can be. And so I just want to encourage our listeners as they're thinking about it and saying, this might be time, not just for you, but for your team, for some coworkers, maybe for your, if you are an entrepreneurial family, or you have, young adults in your family that you can bring along and say, hey, let's do this together. Let's watch this so that we have a foundation for some breakthrough for the rest of 2020 and onto the future. I just want to encourage our listeners to go out to workmatters.org and look up /conference and check out the information and get registered today. Don't delay. All right,
Catherine, last question.
Yeah.
You've experienced all of the Work Matters conferences that have ever happened. You get to see the looks on people's faces when they show up, and in the morning they're just like, oh my gosh, why am I here? It's so early in the morning, because it's they're getting there at 7 o'clock in the morning, Northwest Arkansas time. But then you watch them walk out at 4 o'clock in the afternoon Central. When it's all over, you get to hear the stories. What are some of the coolest things you've heard come out of people's mouths when they say, I will never miss next year?
Oh, wow. I mean, I have actually heard people say this is one of the best, if not the best, leadership conference they've ever been to. And I really do credit the speakers for being so amazing about providing practical and relevant content, because it is 100% faith and 100% leadership. I've heard people say, especially those who maybe had not considered, maybe it's their first conference and they had not considered living out their faith at work, that all of a sudden a whole new world opened up to them about how they can seek God in their work and really find peace in the midst of the chaos. And so, and the other thing that happens is the connections. I mean, people love the connections that they make, and we are going to do whatever we can to make sure that we can provide some of that connection this year through the discussion groups and the chat. So that's of course, you bring that up, and that's the one thing we're going to miss is seeing all those faces. But we are going to invite people.
You're going to see them. You're going to see those faces.
We're going to invite people to send pictures so that we can see those faces a little bit more.
That's fantastic. All right, Catherine Gates with workmatters.org about the October 23rd, 2020 Workmatters Conference. Get signed up today. If you sign up today, you get early access to last year's videos and maybe some of the ones before that. Well worth the investment of $60. Buy one, give one to your pastor. That's the deal right here, and I work for him today. Buy one ticket for the Work Matters Conference, and you get an extra one to give to your pastor. That's a fantastic deal. Catherine Gates, thanks for being on I Work for Him today.
Thank you so much for having me, guys. I love you guys.
We love you too. Yeah. You've been listening to I Work for Him with your hosts, Jim and Martha Brangenberg. We're Christ followers, and our workplace, it's our mission field. But ultimately, I work for him.
Thank you for listening to the I Work For Him podcast with your hosts, Jim and Martha Brangenberg. Please visit iworkforhim.com to learn more about connecting your faith and work, to join the I Work For Him Nation, or subscribe to our weekly blog. You can also follow us on social media at I Work For Him to stay up to date and meet our guests. If today's message spoke to you, please subscribe, rate, and review the show on your favorite podcast platform. Your review will launch more workplace missionaries across America. That's at I Work For Him and online, iworkforhim.com. I work the number 4him.com.